Hi guys, welcome back to the Cole and Tabor podcast. Had a little bit of a hiatus, some scheduling problems with my work schedule and whatnot, but we're back and we're here to talk about a pretty nifty quadrilogy of movies. The Planet of the Apes series, the recent one.
Yeah, we could have watched all 100 of them if we wanted to.
Yeah, I could have.
Yeah, I have all that time in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe someday we should though. That's what it'll come down. Eventually, when we
are doing this for the colony of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, exactly. When we're just able to have a regular schedule of this, that we're not constantly trying to make the schedules align and stuff, when it's just a part of the deal and it's happening and nothing's interfering with it, when we're doing that like clockwork and we're just hitting all the new releases and stuff, there'll be times where
we'll have that
nothing
opportunity
we really want to watch. Yeah, and we'll just have to nail a whole 10 installment series of old school movies like Planet of the Apes.
That'd be dope. I think I've seen the Tim Burton one, but nothing other than that.
I saw the very first old one, Charlton Heston, and the Tim Burton one, but I haven't seen any of the sequels of the old one.
It's crazy. It's crazy how many of them there are. It's like when I found out that they made all of the Chronicles of Narnia movies. They're just old and British.
Really? I had no idea that they did that.
Yeah, I had a box set of them. I just never watched them.
Chronicles of Narnia books were pretty good. I read those. I read all but 2 of them as a kid. And right now I have the whole set on my bookshelf and just
haven't gotten to them.
Yeah, someday I'll reread that and finish it.
Yeah. Ooh, I don't think that'll ever happen for me. But I'm yeah, dude, with the apes, these movies, this current quadrilogy, at some point just trilogy.
Yeah.
What did you think of the first one?
I think, and this is strange, but I think that I like the first one least of all of them. I do still like it, but I like it the least. And I think it's also the most distinct in feel. You're good. It definitely had its own thing with a different director and everything as well. Than 2 and 3. But yeah, I liked it, but not as much. What about you?
I agree. I didn't really enjoy it much on this set because I've only seen this one time, and everything else I had never seen. And I did not really enjoy the first one this time, and I'm just wondering if I don't know. It just didn't seem that rewatchable to me, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like it kind of it came out in a season of people trying to reimagine existing properties and how do we add to it but make it new anyway. This is the same time period that Prometheus came out. And that was that kind of time stamped that sort of thing, and I think that movie really is of its era. Nothing particularly, like you said, rewatchable or timeless about it.
Yeah. And the later effects of the first movie kind of make everything that's lighthearted about it mean, because the disease starts with wanting to cure the Alzheimer's, but then he gets really reckless with it, and it's not just a small oopsie. It's what happens with his serum is the thing that kills all, vast majority of people.
Totally. And I think actually that is one of my biggest issues with the first one. And really it is an issue with the series because they're all built upon the concept of the first one. This notion of trying to make the Planet of the Apes happen You know what I mean? Like by an event. Whereas it's pretty clear originally in the Charlton Heston movie or in the Mark Wahlberg remake, it's pretty obvious that what has happened is a slow evolution of these other ape species has resulted in their descendants becoming super intelligent and ours less so. It's not like some event that flip-flopped the roles, whereas this movie creates an instigating event that in the course of a few generations will have us in the territory of the original movie instead of like millions of years later or whatever by process of evolution.
Yeah, having to explain that, and especially the way that they went about it, it makes the first movie less enjoyable because you just know what all this leads to. I think the only the fun stuff is the fun stuff. The good stuff is like the ape Caesar. The fact that all those apes are introduced in this movie and they come back in the future ones, and a lot of like the reoccurring imagery and stuff.
Yeah, the characters are like a strength of that movie and of the series for sure. They make it interesting. And there's like, even though it's not how I envisioned Planet of the Apes going, it is interesting to see like this rapidly how would you say getting smarter in a verb, but like this, I don't know, this rapid like increase in these apes' intelligence. It's interesting to watch that happen. It's kind of like the movie Phenomenon, where John Travolta is, he goes from just being a normal guy to over the course of like a few weeks being able to like levitate objects and stuff with his mind. And it's fun watching like a miraculous thing like that unfold.
I wanted, because in this one the villains become like I feel like they always have like a strong villain presence, other than this one, because it's just like some dumbass teenagers that are being cruel. Yeah. Freaking, I mean, but I guess it is like a apt example of just like how humans can be assholes and are assholes. And
yeah, I think maybe that's all this movie needed, really, for there to be like human nature versus, I guess, ape nature or whatever, for there to be just some like key differences there that would just make them enemies no matter what, and where there's this power imbalance between them. It's like, is it better for that to be in favor of the humans or better for that to be in favor of the apes? And it wanted us to ask that question, I'm sure. Hopefully it was that thought out, but and maybe that's all they needed in form of a villain.
Maybe. I feel like if it was, I don't know. That just felt, because and maybe it's just because we've now seen all of them. I feel like the villains of those other movies are some of the best parts.
Yeah, they're very compelling. Yeah.
We'll get there. When they keep referencing James Franco in the future movies, I never really feel like he was all like that perfect of a dude.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't visit after dropping the ape off, or like, I don't know, it didn't seem like he was actually being that great.
Yeah. Like, the relationship is something that Caesar was fond of, but it's like, maybe it's being idealized.
Yeah, what are some of the things that you liked?
I liked the visual style of the first one, and the visual style is very different than in the other three. I suppose it's like less dark, like less in the shadows and stuff like that.
Definitely brighter.
And
with
while
the neighborhood and then the daytime.
totally,
scenery. Yeah.
yep, yeah, you're at like zoos in San Francisco and stuff, just like all kinds of reasons for there to be color and whatnot. Maybe the CGI was a little less developed than it was in the other movies, but I thought it still looked good, especially for the year it came out in. So I like how everything looked, and I kind of liked knowing what would happen, like that I'm being ushered into the Planet of the Apes with this story. There's like a familiarity, nostalgia kind of thing there. So I liked that. I did like James Franco in the movie. He's a little harder to like nowadays with some of the stuff he's probably been up to. But he was very likable in that movie, I thought. And as far as trying to like force something to happen, like, oh, how do we turn from us into Planet of the Apes? Like, I suppose that's about as good a thing as they could have come up with if that's the route they were going to go. So it was a pretty inoffensive movie, I guess, and I like how it looked. That's kind of what it boils down to for me. What about you?
I think that's fair. I just, on the rewatch, I was less and less interested until he gets to until he gets captured, or not captured, but sent to the prison.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, that no that he gives, man, it means a lot. So.
Yeah, it's a good moment. It's a real good moment.
Yeah, and I like, I can't remember their names now, but the orangutan they introduce.
Yeah.
I guess I wasn't expecting that much of this movie to actually spread into the other ones, but they're all
right,
very connected.
Very much, yeah. Which, was it was good to have the connection, but it made very clear the thing we're talking about, where it's like, oh yeah, they're trying to make all this happen like instantaneously. So it all continues to take place in the lifetime of these few apes, and it is progressing rapidly into what the Planet of the Apes will be. So it made that very sharp. But I think I was intrigued too by the fact that those characters stayed around so much.
Yeah, but overall, I do think it is the weakest of the three. Well, I guess four. Weakest of the four.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I ask you before we go dissecting more? Is it out of order to ask you what you think was the strongest of the four?
I honestly think I like the third one. War.
Okay.
What about you?
It's very good. That is probably mine as well, and the contender would be the fourth one. I liked the differences in the fourth one.
Yeah, Kingdom was pretty good. We'll get
Yeah,
there.
yeah, but yeah, War for the Planet of the Apes was. I feel like Matt Reeves was at the pinnacle of like what he could have done with this franchise in that movie. He was doing very good.
I forgot the Batman guy was the Apes guy.
Yeah, he did War and Dawn.
Who did Kingdom?
I don't remember the guy's name. Some other guy though.
Some other duty guy.
Some other duty guy.
I feel bad saying it now because duty is like poop, you know. Westball.
That Westball, that's right. And I don't really know who that is, but
me neither. But that's his name.
That's his name.
Sorry to be less respectful of you, Westball. This one. What do you think, Rise? Well, any other thoughts? Last thoughts?
Yeah, the title was terrible. That's my last thought. I remember when the movie was in pre-production. I remember the names that they went through were they were going to call it. Oh geez, the first thing they were going to call it was like Rise of the Apes. And then they were going to call it Caesar, Rise of the Apes. And I thought that was probably the best title they fiddled around with. And then eventually they decided they were going to call it Rise of the Planet of the Apes. And I was like, this is so stupid. And it was after, this was years after the Rise of the, which was usually used in subtitles. This is years after that was already like way overdone. No one wanted to ever see a movie that was Rise of the anything ever again. The Dark Knight Rises, Rise of the Silver Surfer, everything's rising. It's such an uninteresting title, and this was years after people were burnt out on that, and they not only used the Rise stereotype, but they also inserted it in the dumbest possible place with a movie whose name was already long enough in the form of Planet of the Apes. Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I couldn't think of anything worse they could have called it.
Well, yeah, now it's a naming trend where kingdom is just... It makes it so much longer with just that extra syllable.
Mm-hmm.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, just call it Kingdom of the Apes.
Yeah.
I'd have been very happy with that.
So... It's
not like we wouldn't know what franchise it belonged to, you know?
Fuck all the names. They all suck.
Yeah.
Rename your movies or get out of here.
Consult me first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, I don't know. I agree. I agree that the names are bad. And especially, like, what's the next one going to be called?
I know. I don't know, man. I don't know where you go.
Yeah, from Kingdom. And there's definitely going to be a next one. It's as long as this one made money, which I'm pretty
sure. Boy, I know for a fact what they're going to call it. They're going to because they're lazy. Mm-hmm. They're going to call it Empire of the Planet of the Apes.
Oh.
Guaranteed. You heard it here first, folks.
If they take
and in 2 years we'll know.
Yep. On this 520 view video, if they stole it, is what we're saying.
Yep. Yep.
I think this one is about a 0.5 of a Gran Turismo for me.
Yeah, I'd say I agree. 0.5 Gran Turismos.
Heck yeah.
For Rise.
Of the Planet of the Apes.
Yep.
And now we have Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Which is hilarious because if we're being logical here, Dawn should have come before Rise. But they didn't consult me, so they missed that.
Fuck, dude. Did they not have your phone number? Did you give it to him since?
I guess not. I don't know.
This movie, I think, is much better.
Mm-hmm.
I think the strength of that opening alone, where they're it's all of the apes. I keep wanting to call them monkeys, but they're apes.
I know, right?
And they're in the trees, and that's gonna get me killed when they finally evolve enough. In their like all of them are fucking swinging through the trees, and I feel like this movie did this a lot, and I kind of wish the other movies did it, but they had 100 monkeys swinging through trees, and it looks so cool, especially when they're like all on that building at the end.
Yeah, it really did lead out strong. And I think because much more of it took place like kind of in the natural setting, you know. It just felt more right for that reason alone. It was like, okay, this is more like Planet of the Apes. Everything, the darker vibe that it had was also a cool turn. I guess sort of like...
It was very serious.
Yeah, it was very serious, and the colors signaled that, and yeah, it felt very cool. What do you think were like? I don't know. What else do you think were strengths of this one?
Caesar. I think the way they use language is interesting. I was wondering how good the ASL was. Do you think it was good?
Right.
I wish I understood it to know.
I'm sure it was like much more rudimentary than the translation of it.
Yeah.
It would have to be, I would think.
But you know, how some apes don't talk and some apes do, and
Yeah.
and then when they finally do, it's all seems very important.
Right.
And I like that the characters are all back, and the dude now has a family, and
Yeah.
and I also like the human characters in this.
Yeah. Wait, hold on.
Sorry.
I want to make sure I'm not mixing something up. This is the one with Jason Clarke, right?
Yes, the guy from Zero Dark 30.
Yeah.
Which it's hard not to just see him as the guy in Zero Dark 30 that tortures that dude for the first 20 minutes of that movie.
I never saw the movie.
Oh, okay. Well, the movie is him. The first 20 minutes or so is him torturing a dude with, I think, is it Jessica Chastain?
Oh.
Just watch it. I'm not explaining it in the best terms. It's a good movie.
I'll have to watch it. Yeah. Okay. It also has Chris Pratt, right? That's the one where Chris Pratt first got like in shape.
Yeah. Cool. And Joel Edgerton and apparently James Gandolfini.
Yeah. Oh. Okay.
Yeah, the human characters are cool.
Yeah.
The
I don't know. I guess like the plans and like allegiances / what do you call when people work collaborations and stuff, like the dynamics, the sort of socio-political dynamics between the sides was really fun, I thought.
Yeah, I definitely think the conflict was interesting, especially how like Gary Oldman immediately went towards the let's kill him route, and then he was able, because I thought Gary Oldman was like an interesting complex person where he jumped to those like initial reactions, but then he was able to be brought back down and like you know what I mean.
Yeah, totally. And like all the nuance of Gary Oldman. It was great. Good role for him.
But yeah, the way and the like Koba's interesting in this one. I think he's where would you put him on like a villain's ranking? Is he the best?
He's like villains ranking specifically within this series, or like generally speaking?
In this series.
He's probably the best villain in this series, yeah.
I think so. And it's interesting that it's Toby Kebbell.
Oh, is he Koba?
Yeah.
That's so great. So you have the two like best mocappers doing this across from each other. I didn't realize that. That's awesome.
And Toby Kebbell's also the one that causes all the problems initially anyways.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Oh, that's great, man. Yeah, Koba's great because, like, anytime you have a character that either starts as a subordinate or an ally or whatever, and can be confused as weak or inferior or whatever, but who is actually like a very strong character and just kind of like waits for their moment to play that hand, that makes a good hero or villain. Like that's just like a very interesting character. I love that.
Yeah, he played like a pretty passive role, and then and then he saw his opportunity and he started taking it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Speaking of Koba, though, one thing that I have noticed in this series in general is that they tend to, excuse me, they tend to make their heroes these like really pretty, cartoonish, Curious George, white-faced, perfectly even-coated, brown-furred chimpanzees, and then they make all the bad guys like the like black-skinned, black-furred, speckly complexioned chimpanzees and other apes and stuff, and it's just like, it's, forgive me, it's a little weird that like instead of it just being like Scar on the face, ugly ape bad, like the Scar the lion from Lion King, like that's one thing. It's one thing to like make your villain ugly and easy to hate and your hero very handsome. It's a stupid thing, but it's a thing. But I find it weird that it's like they went with white chimpanzees for every time they want you to like someone, and they went with like dark-colored chimpanzees or whatever else anytime it was like you're supposed to be afraid of someone. And it's like, it's all a little too close to like to human interactions for me to like that convention.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's because we were talking about Koba and then the new guy. What is his name?
I do not remember.
I'm getting him mixed up with the guy from Chris Hemsworth from Furiosa.
Oh, I haven't seen Furiosa yet.
I need to rewatch it.
How was it?
It was a long day. So I wasn't exactly awake the whole time.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. But I liked it. I think some
Okay.
of the CGI in it is maybe not the best, but
Okay.
but I thought it was fun. And I think
Cool.
his name is Proximus. Proximus is from Kingdom.
Yes, that's what it is. Proximus.
Mm-hmm.
Proximus Caesar.
And then in the third one, it's Woody Harrelson.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah,
Which-
they have a very human bad guy.
So I think the ones directed by Matt Reeves are much more complex villains. Because
Yeah.
Koba is like, he wants power, but it's also because he like a deep-seated hatred for being like locked up by humans for all of his escape and smartness.
Yep.
And so it's like a little bit of fear too. And then Woody Harrelson is that like he's, what was it? Is that he is very just dedicated to the survival of the human race, and then so much so that he like kills his own son. But then by the end of the movie, he's crying in a bathtub. Like,
Yeah. Gnarly character. Like you wanna look at these like strong like ideal driven or ideology driven like characters. You think that they're like principled, like even if they're misled, they're strong and they rely on some amount of wisdom and reason and whatnot. And it's like, but not always. Like he's just an actual psychopath who happens to be able to rally people. I guess like Hitler, but he's just a psychopath. He's not stable of mind,
and everyone doesn't want to fight him for control.
Yeah, exactly.
Proximus is similar to that, but I feel like he's less fleshed out.
Yeah. Speaking of, I feel like the movie Kingdom, it did a lot of like telling, not showing. You know what I mean? I feel like it tried to explain to me with words what has transpired and how we are where we are now, and and who Proximus is and all that. And I didn't really care for the telling instead of showing thing.
Right. I think the major thing that I wasn't a fan of in the fourth one is the fact that that character, the orangutan, is just there to remind us who Caesar was.
Totally.
Like, I guess he is serving a function in world by explaining it to the main guy, and I don't really know how you do that otherwise.
Sure.
But as an audience member, it felt so cheap.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it was very what's the word? Exposition-y, for sure. I liked the character himself. He was like an interesting character, like a total hippie. But
Raka.
But yeah,
Raka.
Raka. Yeah.
He was really fun. I liked how compassionate he was, and you do hear that gorilla say for Caesar, and you're thinking like, this isn't that guy. Like, what the hell's happening? And then we meet Raka, and like he does breathe some sense into the world again. Breathe some sense into our character Noah.
Yeah. Yeah. How'd you like Noah, by the way?
Of course he's not as good as Caesar so far.
Mm-hmm.
But I think by the end of the movie, he grows into himself, and I'm excited for his story moving forward.
Yeah, me too.
But Dawn.
Yeah.
What were some of the moments in Dawn that really stood out to you?
I'm gonna struggle to not mix these up just because I watched Dawn the longest ago. Like before watching Rise again, I watched Dawn again first, out of order. But I liked. This isn't a singular moment or anything like that. It's just kind of like something that happened throughout. I liked the vizier role that the orangutan had for Caesar. Him just being like the wise vizier kind of thing, like always counseling Caesar and whatnot. I really
always
liked anytime anytime he was on screen, anything he had to say, and like his presence is also just so gentle and like slow and whatnot, and it's just this big old gentle giant with this wisdom to share, and his impact on Caesar and Caesar's decisions, and therefore the story, like those were things I really liked.
He's probably, besides Caesar, my favorite ape. I can't remember his name though.
Me neither.
Oh, it kills me. I didn't write them all down.
Was it Maurice? Was that?
Yes, it's Maurice.
Okay. Maurice.
Yeah, he was great. So Maurice's top 3 apes. I don't know who the third one is. Not yet.
Oh, interesting. A lady played Maurice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Karen Conoval.
Huh.
Interesting.
I'm about to sneeze. No, I'm not. I'm fine. I hate this season.
Bless you.
Thanks,
I know,
man.
bro. It's been awful.
Oh.
I've gotten some relief like in the last week or so, but I had a month straight of just
sneezing, wheezing.
Yep. Couldn't stand it.
Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
Something I didn't like in Dawn, when they're doing the attack on the city, it's not clear at all how many apes or humans are there throughout the entirety of the movie. And especially
Yup.
it's just pointed out because in that part, it seems like there is so many more apes than we've ever seen on screen before.
Right.
And humans too. Like they just kind of
Mhm.
like double and multiply in frames, and then like
Totally.
presumably all of these apes are getting shot and killed, and then but the number is never thin.
Yeah. Yeah. True. I feel like that was while Dawn and War both have they do a very good job of like rooting you in a real world and explaining the dynamics of that world and whatnot. Those are some of the details they're missing for sure. It's like, what's the actual state of like the populations, the places, the geographies?
Yeah.
And I feel like that actually also gets lost just kind of like in all three of the sequels, where it's like, what are we to understand of like how impactful all this is on the world at large? How localized of a situation are we looking at? Were all of the North and South American
Apes.
zoo escaped apes, were all of them aware of Caesar and the happenings there? Like, what's the actual scope? I think is a part of the story
really
that's not
only
very well
seen
explained.
This one city or like the surrounding areas of this state for like a long
Right.
time. We haven't really gotten past, because we learn in the third one that monkey got smart. So clearly it's happening everywhere else, but we're still only dealing with this one subsection of smart apes.
Right. Yep. So questions of scale have always bothered me about the series.
It's also questions of like, I hope in the next movies like we do start to expand further, because like with what we're saying, like in Kingdom it looks like it expands really wide, but then you're just pointing out that like we're still mostly dealing with like centralized, close to where Caesar dropped off his pile of like all his people. So I don't know. There's a lot of questions.
Yeah. I'm sure Matt Reeves has a notebook somewhere where he has all the finer details of how this world dynamic works,
I guess it's not, if we're looking at it in like terms of like Civil War, it's not like any of that's really needed.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Of that, but when I'm talking about like how many apes are sieging San Francisco,
Right.
Like at some point, like there needs to be like a easy way for me to tell who's winning or losing, and not just because like if you have that many apes that we've never seen, like the most amount of apes I think we see outside of that is either in the trees when they're all rushing, but even then that's like, I don't know, I want to say like a couple, like 100 maybe.
Right. Yeah.
And in this siege, it looks like there's like 500 of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the bullets.
Hard to say.
The bullets are endless. They just get shot and then they keep shooting and.
Totally. The like the war math. I'm gonna call it, I guess. The war math needs to be like written out a little better.
I don't know what you need to do, but it just didn't feel very grounded in a movie that is otherwise very grounded.
Totally, and I think that's why Dawn and War have such a distinct vibe to them, and like what Matt Reeves brought to the situation is groundedness. He brought this situation that could have been clownish, talking apes and people that aren't humans, and he like made sure that all of them, because they already have names and stuff, it's like each name is a person now, and that person has feelings, a role in society, relationships with other people, and it just seems like the struggles and the dynamics and everything are all so real, and all of this about characters that he couldn't even actually see. If you have people cast in a role, you can like put like, okay, Tom Cruise is your main character. You're writing this stuff out. You can see Tom Cruise there. He's a real guy, but he's dealing with entirely CG characters, and it's very hard to humanize to a degree that you like truly empathize with something. It's hard to humanize something to that degree that is not human. And Matt Reeves very clearly considered all of these characters real people, and he gave them that much attention in the writing and that much texture and everything. And so he like really grounded these two movies, I thought.
Yeah, I think they're great.
Yeah.
And I think Dawn's probably my second, and then Kingdom's my third.
Cool. Cool.
There's a line early on where, or I can't remember the line, but I wrote down something like, humans are always trying to get back to what it was, never dealing with what it is.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I feel like Kingdom has that in its DNA too. Well, I guess
totally.
every single one of the movies do.
Sure, yeah. But no, you're right. That's like absolutely the theme of Kingdom, for sure. And that Nova, whatever her real name was, I forgot. May, thanks. You want so bad to like her. She seems like she's a pure ally of these apes that just want to be freed. But she's just like any other human, just trying to make things how it was. Or how they were.
I think by the end of Kingdom, I felt betrayed almost, because you do really like, you want to know May and trust that she's like doing the right thing, but then by the end, even towards the end, you still kind of see the things that she's doing. And you can justify them. Like, I didn't want Proximus to get all those weapons either.
Right.
But then when it shows that gun in her hand at the end of the movie, I'm like, okay, so no. And then she goes into the underground vault, and there's hundreds of humans that can talk, and it completely changes the rest of the movie, because it's like, no, she's always looking out for only herself.
Yeah. It's very interesting. The gun thing especially, it kind of caught me off guard, because you're like, oh, she's there because even though she was doing what she thought she had to do, she recognizes that it may have been wrong. So she's there to like make amends or whatever. And even though their conversation is a little bit difficult still, you think that like she wants to do the right thing. Turns out she was ready to just pop him in the face at the drop of a hat. And that was kind of scary. Moment. Yep. If and I wonder what it would have taken. Like, what would he have had to say or do for her to shoot him? And it probably wouldn't have been much, because she was there.
And my idea was that she always planned to shoot him, and for some reason, and then he said the right thing, and so she decided not to.
Interesting. That's even scarier.
Yeah, especially because Noah has that moment where he's very distrusting of her, and then he says, okay, well, just tell me the truth. So you really think that we're getting the truth in that moment, and no, we're not. So that, for the next movie, it has a lot of stuff to deal with. Like, does she change her heart? Can humans and apes live together? Where are the monkeys? Why didn't the monkeys also get... Like, why are there no, like, lemurs?
That's a good question. Howler monkeys that are just, like, doing math.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude.
Those are apes. But why aren't there any of those?
Baboons.
Baboons?
I don't know, dude.
That's a good baboons in American zoos, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. What's the cutoff? What does this virus affect positively, and what does it affect negatively, and what does it have no effect on? What's the cutoff?
Yeah, but it's also just like baboons is a great monkey to have, or a great are they monkeys or apes?
I think they are monkeys. Yeah, because they have big old long tails.
Apes or
They're just
monkeys?
weird monkeys. Weird big monkeys.
Okay, they're monkeys. They're monkeys. Yeah, why aren't monkeys like the monkeys have so many cool guys? Like we could have little lemurs and
Uh-huh.
straight up monkeys. We could have like
You
the
could
ones with
have
all the
that
curl. Yeah,
the pygmy marmoset, the thing that's like the size of a human thumb. That thing
yeah,
just walking around talking. That'd be fun.
yeah. What the heck? Instead, we're stuck with
Yeah.
chimpanzees. Orangutans are cool. I mean,
Yeah,
they're
that's
just
true. They
straight up
are.
cool. And gorillas are cool. But like
You
chimpanzees
know
are.
what?
Mm-hmm.
We never. Maybe I'm wrong. We probably see some bonobos in the movies somewhere. I don't really remember. But what I'm pretty sure we don't see any of are gibbons. Gibbons are mentioned in Kingdom by Raka or whatever his name was. He
Mm-hmm.
mentions gibbons, and those are apes. But we never see any gibbons. It's really all gorillas, chimps, orangutans.
Where are the gibbons?
Where are the gibbons?
Or a siamang? Siamang?
No idea what that is.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm ruining these names right now. Oh, dude, this one? Pile-eated gibbon? They're like white. Dude,
Ooh.
where are the gibbons? Anyways.
Oh yeah, these things are crazy looking.
Have we... Was there...
Because they're so monkey-ish, it might be like a little weird to see them
But they're apes.
be human
I don't
and
care.
talk and whatnot.
I
Yeah.
don't care, man. That's what they gotta do.
That's what they gotta do.
Cross...
I want gibbons in Planet of the Apes. I'm
We
gonna fight for that now.
Yep, I'm gonna email someone.
Yep.
We need a whole colony of all the different looking gibbons.
Give me the gibbons.
Yeah. We've kind of gone all over the place. There was some stuff in 3 that I wasn't too big of a fan of.
Okay.
When they introduce stuff really quickly, and then they pay it
Yeah.
off super quick. So for me, one of the things I didn't like the death of the son. Like we get the son back. Oh, hey, it's happy to see ya. And then the next scene, he gets shot.
Yeah.
There's also with I think Luca. In the scene before he gets shot, he gives the little girl a flower. Nova gives Nova a flower, and then he gets shot like in the next scene, and then Nova gives the flower back, and it just feels like there's
Right.
not enough time for that to breathe. And I think there's
Yeah.
a couple more examples.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a good point. It does happen a lot in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that. What do you think that stems from? Is that just like wanting to fill the movie with moments, or is it like, I don't know. Yeah, how do you get that instead of just a nice consistent thing that like sets up, pays off down the road like most movies do?
Yeah, I guess just to give it moments, give things like weight from scene to scene, like you were saying. That feels like the
Yeah.
most reasonable example, or explanation.
Which is interesting because it's like the movie was pretty well written in a lot of ways, so it's interesting that it like fell for that, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess they couldn't think of a way for the son just to be there. Like if he had just been there and then he got killed, it would be different. But because they introduced that he's coming back from something, and they make it an important thing, and then all of a sudden he's dead. It's like, I don't know, why say he came back at all?
Yeah. That's a good point.
But I really like the what bad ape. I don't think they ever call him anything else. Bad ape.
Right. the little crazy dude.
Yeah.
Who was the voice of that? That guy was nutty.
Yeah, it was a great voice, great performance. His head poking out of the earth, and it's just like a bald spot coming out of the earth, and then it goes back down. That was very good.
Yeah, it was. It was an interesting character. Oh my gosh, wow. I didn't realize. Okay, so War came out in 2017, so it's been 7 years between that and this most recent sequel. That's crazy. So crazy.
That's not that
Gosh,
long. Or that's flies. Pretty long, I mean.
I know. Do you remember when it, like, I don't know, I feel like when we were kids, it seemed like sequels were something that would inevitably happen 2 or 3 years after a movie. And if something came back after, like, 8 years, it was like, this is, like a sequel for the next generation or whatever. But now it's like 5 years happen between movies, like at the blink of an eye, and they slip right out from under our feet because we're getting old. Well, it feels like that. We're young. Yeah. But like the older you get, the quicker time goes. Yeah, I'm old.
Some of us are still 20 and we're vibing out here.
Some of us have a significant amount of gray hair in our beard. And it just, the years just seem to like go by without you noticing, and then all of a sudden 7 years have passed between the second sequel in a series and the third sequel, but they feel like they're pretty back to back.
Yeah. So. Is that just the perception of time thing that people get, or do you think that's like it actually feels different?
I think it's the perception of time thing, and also I think people are breathing more in between movies. It used to be that studios were like the second you get the box office numbers from the first weekend, you greenlight the next movie right then, and you rush it through production as well. Nowadays, studios are way more willing to like spend their time on a movie. I mean, some studios, when they're doing it right, they're willing to spend their time on a movie, including not necessarily greenlighting something until they've been brought a significantly worthwhile pitch. Yep. So I think there's a lot of that happening as well.
I think a lot of the examples where in like the early 2000s was like you're talking like Saw or Hostel or like horror movies that are just so easy to make that it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Or I'm trying to think of like the bigger movies that would have done that. I guess, was Pirates like that? Did Pirates come out back to back?
It actually did happen pretty quick. It wasn't instantaneous, but it was like, 2-3 years between each. Yeah.
And now we're in the world where I believe it had like 4 years in between Dune and Dune Part 2.
Wow. That's wild.
But that was also COVID, so you never know.
That's true. Oh, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Don't we have the next Avatar sequel coming out later this year?
No way. Avatar Part 3?
I thought they were going to be at like 2-year intervals.
Yeah, but they pushed them back, all of them back.
Did they push him? Okay.
But Avatar 3 is filmed, I heard, from a reliable source, a YouTube video.
Wow. Nice.
I can't remember where. Avatar 3 is 2025.
Okay. So 3 years.
It was originally supposed to be this year, but I guess it got pushed back.
Gotcha. That would have felt too quick.
Especially with the 10-year gap before that.
Yeah.
Did you see that Mission Impossible and Spider-Man, both of the other Part 2s that were supposed to come out this year, are now pushed back into next year?
Are they? No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's lame.
That's a bummer. Yeah. I just looked up Bad Ape though, and this is gonna make a lot of sense. He was played by Steve Zahn.
From, I don't know,
Steve Zahn is let's see, he's the guy from Joyride. He's the guy from. Actually, I've got his IMDb here. Hold on a sec. He's a funny guy. For the most part, he's done serious stuff too.
Perfect Getaway. Is that the thing?
I guess so. Oh, Sahara. He's Matthew McConaughey's compadre in Sahara.
I think I only know him from the Perfect Getaway, man. I think,
Okay.
you know, your favorite movie, I've heard.
Yeah, that one that I've never heard of.
He's in Tall Girl Part 2, bro. Or Tall Girl 2, not Part 2.
To me, like, the way I think of him is he's like a guy from back in the day, like 90s and 2000s, who was just like a funny guy that was around, and then all of a sudden he was not in anything anymore, is like how I seem to remember it being. But yeah, I'm like looking at his IMDb and I'm like, wow,
pretty scattered.
I recognize a couple of the titles, I guess, but for the most part, it's a lot of stuff I've never heard of. So I'm like, why do I know his name and face so well?
They're like driving after, they're like being chased by someone.
Yes, there's a trucker that's after them. It's him and Paul Walker.
Right. I do remember that movie, actually.
I remember that one being like kind of freaky because of I'm gonna get this wrong, I'm sure, but I swear it had like a Michael Myers type ending where it's like they think that they've, gotten free, or the guy has died or something for some reason. Yeah, and then all of a sudden he's like there and he's just as much of a threat. I think he gets him. I don't really remember, but
I vaguely remember this movie. I think this was like before my brain had fully developed when that can't be true, right? How old is Joyride? Because right now I can only think of it in relation to Jeepers Creepers. 2000?
Oh, 2001 Joyride.
Okay, so yeah, before I was fully developed. No, I guess I would have been like 5 or 6.
Still fair to say before you were fully developed.
What month? What day?
Let's see. Oh, while I'm looking into that, he was also in Stuart Little. So he's the dad.
Sorry, my roommates just came back. They didn't buy me. They got me this.
Oh, nice. VHS.
Uh-huh.
That's fantastic.
Because I have a player still.
Oh, heck yeah. That's awesome. I would like to get one because I own one VHS only, but it's something I want to watch.
What movie?
It's Pokemon, the first movie.
Dude, no way.
Yeah. It's a good one, man. Oh, yes. How do we both have a VHS copy of that? Oh, that's fantastic.
My collection's pretty scattered. I've got this Land Before Time movie.
Sweet.
I've got Emperor's New Groove.
Heck yeah.
Spy Kids.
All right.
Many, many more. Small Soldiers. That
Dude.
was my shit when I was growing up.
Oh, that movie was horrifying and awesome.
Yeah.
As a kid.
Like all the Barbies that get turned into like the weird Frankensteins.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Oh. Dude, I had no idea you collected VHSs, and I am in awe right now. That is so cool.
Yeah, they're all... I mean, it's not as many as, I would hope, but...
Sure.
I've got The Nightmare Before Christmas, James and the Giant
Dude.
Peach. Apparently, I have both Goofy movies.
Sweet. You've inspired me. I need to go get a VCR now. I've thought before, like, I should get one, but I just never have done it. I'm going to do that now.
I want to get a VHS camera. That'd be cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Just get a bunch of blank VHSs, or even get VHSs with movies on them, and you just fuck them up.
Yeah. Those were all my family home videos as a kid were all on one of those big VHS cameras.
Yeah. I had one for a while. I just don't know what happened to it.
Dude, I need to find out where my parents' is, because that thing probably still works.
Get it. And then we'll make
Good
a
call,
VHS movie when you don't have the time.
Dude, why are retro things so fun? Why is that so fun?
I don't know, because VHS movies don't look good. You should not watch VHS
No,
movies
yeah. And they
anymore.
degrade horribly over time.
Yeah. But, fuck it, bro. You got them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's...
Yeah, man.
Oh. Dude, imagine when, like, Blu-rays are dead media. It'll happen.
Yeah. I mean, they don't sell like they used to. That's for sure. So they're on their way.
But they're still releasing old movies on Blu-ray. So it's like, clearly there's a market for it somewhere. And I'm that market,
totally.
But...
it's been a while since I've bought a disc.
Yeah?
Yeah, it has been.
I've stopped recently buying all the new ones. It's now just whenever something really catches my eye. Like like things that you can't find anywhere else, I'll buy on Blu-ray.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's go through Dawn.
Okay, yeah.
Dawn is like... I think it's at least a Turismo and a half.
Cool. Yeah. I'm gonna agree with you, like, to the T on that one as well.
Okay.
Turismo and a half. Yeah.
What about War?
War. I'm gonna say 1.75 Gran Turismos.
I'm going to go with just a straight up two Turismos.
2 Gran Turismos. Okay.
And then Kingdom.
I'll say that because of despite some of the weaknesses we've talked about, including some of the characters, just the new elements to the world, like it being, a little further down the line, they have freaking tribes that are falconers now. Like, I just love that whole
really talk
animal
about
husbandry thing.
Yeah, the Falcons part is really cool, and I like his interaction with his parents. And then I thought his friends were interesting. I like them as, and I feel like the next movies they'll kind of probably be fleshed out more. I thought I think it's Suna's arc where is it Suna the one that is the coward? Or is that...
I was thinking Suna was the female.
Oh, I think you're right. You're right. Which... Oh, Anaya.
Anaya, yeah.
I think the whole thing where Anaya is laying in bed and then he says, I'm not going to go. They walk like 200 feet down to where they're about to leave, and then he says, well, you can't climb without me, and then he goes. And there's nothing to change his mind in between. So much so that it felt like he was going to betray them, because it's going to be like Proximus came down and he's like, where's your friends going?
Sure.
Well, if you follow them and get me whatever I want,
I'll give you a banana.
Yeah. Or I'll let your tribe go. So he thinks that's that would make much more sense. But then when they get to the climbing part, they don't particularly help each other, besides Noah helping May. So it's like, why did they need to be there? They don't have any purpose.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Little shoehorned. Little forced.
One more good thing,
Agreed.
Though. I like the moment where they look into the stars and into the telescope, and it's just a reflection off their eye. And then they're talking at the fire, and Noah says something like, the way she looked at him, you could see it wasn't like human, it was like ape.
Yeah. Just the wonder that it stokes in them. It made me really want to know exactly how it impacts them. Because this is, like, thinking about these apes and their development is a lot like thinking about early man and, like, our ancestors and stuff, and just being like, what was it like for them before they had, a scientific process for analyzing things and conventions for describing things, and before they had things very systematized, and it was all just just the big, wide, wonderful expanse of the world and the universe, and the only sense you could make of it is what it looked like to your eyes, and so naturally you could make sense of almost nothing, but all of it was probably awe-striking. Like, what must that have been like? We can get little glimpses of that in our experience, but I'm sure it's different because of the things that we do know. But yeah, seeing that in the Apes was fun.
It's also interesting that they live in a world where all this information is given to you, and yet they're not able to take advantage of it.
Right.
It's just so interesting because they have all these books and none of them are read besides by Rocca.
Yeah.
But presumably with him finding the books, they're going to learn how to read.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, that telescope thing was fun.
And then William H. Macy playing another sad, pathetic guy is also great. I wasn't expecting it, and when it happened, I was like, okay.
Yeah, I had a weird moment with that because for some reason someone was talking about William H. Macy at work that day. And I how often does his name come up in conversation, even among people who are watching movies all the time? It's like, you hardly ever talk about William H. Macy. And we were talking about him for some reason. It wasn't for whatever that show was called. Oh, jeez. The show where he's just Shameless, thank you. Yeah. It wasn't for that. It was for we were talking about Wild Hogs, the one with John Travolta. and so we got onto a conversation about William H. Macy. And then all of a sudden he's in the movie when I'm watching it later. So it's kind of funny. Came
out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Was not expecting a cameo. And also for him to just be so pathetic still, bro. And then he gets thrown. He gets choked out. That was such a crazy. I guess you really do see her character in that moment.
That's true. Yeah, she's like, I'll do anything. I wanted to say about that chokeout, I so appreciated how they blocked and filmed that chokeout, because in like every movie where someone gets choked out, they're very clearly not in a position where they could even possibly be choked out. Usually they have the actor's like forearm like in the person's neck or whatever, and their elbows way off to the side, and it's like, sorry, you don't have the leverage, you don't have the grip, you are not choking that person out like that. They could get out of that without like even trying. And the what chokes someone out is having both sides of your arm close in on their major blood vessels. And so you really need the inside of your elbow to be right in the middle of their neck, and that it never looks that way in movies, and it's because they're trying to protect the actors. But this was so good. She just got herself fully wrenched up under his chin. It was like a beautiful chokeout. I loved it.
And the chokeout reminded me a lot of No Country for Old Men. There's a chokeout in there that's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Have you?
It's been a long time since I've watched that movie.
I think he's like using handcuffs, right? And then
he's
sitting there, and the dude is scuffing up the floor as he's trying. But this one feels
gnarly.
It was shot the same way, like above.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it was good.
It was.
What do you? The rating, the Turismo.
Right. Yeah, I'd say because of those new elements to the world, I'd say a Turismo 1.4 Gran Turismos. 1.5. I'm going with 1.5.
I was gonna do 1.4.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because I thought Dawn is a little better, and I'm sticking to that. So it's got to be a 1.4.
Cool. I get that.
Anything else about the 8 movies, or expectations for future 8 movies?
I wouldn't mind if Wes Ball did another one. I think it was a fitting entry. And to have some uniformity is nice. But we've already had 3 directors in this series, and I'm also all for new directors picking up the ball and creating new entries as well. This is going to be a bit of it seems like a pretty good linear storyline, but it's going to be a bit of a hodgepodge of styles because of different directors, as it already is. And I think
lean into
just
it.
going with that is great. Yep.
I think the next one should be directed by the Safdie brothers. That would be crazy, right?
Oh my gosh, that would be crazy. That'd be a strange movie.
That's my vote. Who do you want to direct it?
Huh. Okay. Well, assuming that the next one is going to continue to follow Noah and not do a major time jump. Honestly, I think I'd like to have Wes Ball continue with the next one. Yeah.
Okay.
Before making another change out.
With next time. So The Watchers is definitely one that we should do.
Okay.
Because that's
it looks interesting.
M. Night Shyamalan's daughter.
That's right. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. And Dakota Fanning. And then we do Furiosa.
Cool.
And I'll rewatch it.
Cool.
And then Garfield. I'm just
Garfield?
Kidding. No Garfield. No Garfield. I refuse.
Okay. Oh, that's funny.
Is In a Violent Nature out?
In a Violent Nature. What's that?
That's a scary movie.
Yeah, it looks like it's out as of yesterday.
Sweet.
I don't know if it's. Yeah, I'll see if it's playing.
Oh, it's got very sparse.
It's got what?
It's got not that many showings near me.
Oh.
If we can't wait, maybe it's on something.
Oh yeah. It doesn't look like it.
Oh, even like to rent.
Yeah, IMDb only shows it as in theaters.
Lame.
Usually they're pretty good at listing all the available stuff.
So if you look at the movie times, if you can't watch it, sick. If not, we'll just do. I mean, it's there. We did the first one. You know what I'm gonna say?
What's that?
Rebel Moon Volume 2.
Yeah?
If we can't watch Nature, we'll do Rebel Moon Volume 2.
Okay. I'm down. I've already committed to watching however many of those come out, even though they're
gonna be awesome.
Not going to entertain me. Yeah. I'm down.
Okay. We'll probably do that.
Cool.
Other than that, thank you for joining, and I hope you guys have a good night.
Yeah, thanks, guys.